Good Sunday, everyone. My name is Robert Fry. I'm a senior forecaster here at the National Weather Service Office, New Orleans, Baton Rouge. I'll be completing your weekly weather briefing for today, Sunday, August 18th, 2024. So let's get started. All right, so we do have a few things to talk about on this Sunday briefing. Our situation overview for the upcoming week. Very hot again today. We do have excessive heat warnings for all of us, unfortunately. Continued hot tomorrow, but mostly along and south of the I-10 corridor. We'll get into that in just a moment. For today, isolated to scattered thunderstorms possible. Some may be even strong to severe out there, especially across the Mississippi Gulf Coast, interior South Mississippi, and the Florida parishes here in southeast Louisiana. Very slight cool down coming up early to midweek with lower relative humidity values. The actual temperature doesn't come down, but the feels like temperature will with the lower humidity out there. And finally, of course, it's hurricane season, but the good news is over the next 7 days, the tropics look to stay quiet. So again, excessive heat warning is in effect for all of us today with heat indices approaching 120 in some cases. So this would be, again, all on the Gulf Coast here. Just another really, really hot and humid day out there. This goes until 7 p.m. This evening. Tropical weather outlook. Um, First off, we have Tropical Storm Ernesto. It was Hurricane Ernesto's expected to become another hurricane, or a hurricane again, I should say, not another one, but expected to intensify once again to a hurricane in the next day or so. That, regardless, is on its way out. It's only going to disrupt some shipping interests and really, really upset a lot of fish out there. But that's on the way out. And otherwise, looking across the main development region, across the Gulf, Caribbean, there's nothing expected over the next 7 days, so that's some good news. As I mentioned, we do have a marginal to slight risk. This is a 1 or 2 category here for generally the Florida parishes here in southeast Louisiana, interior South Mississippi, and the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So there could be an isolated strong to severe thunderstorm out there later this evening, tonight time frame. The best chance will be generally again north of the I-10 corridor. And the primary concerns with anything that does develop would be damaging straight line winds and possibly some large hail out there. So taking a look at the hazard outlook from WPC, days 3 through 7 going through the next week, not much really across the continental United States. We do have some heavy rain potential there across the Rockies. That monsoon moisture, it's that time of the year, so they're getting some heavy rain out there. Heavy rainfall into New England and parts of the Northeast, but otherwise, across most of the continental U.S., not much to talk about. So it has been hot, it has been dry, and unfortunately, we have stepped, at least in some of the Florida parishes here, into the D0 abnormally dry drought category. So we're going to be watching that. We do need a little bit of rain, and we're going to get some potential today, some potential tomorrow, but overall, largely over the upcoming work week, it should remain dry. So, fortunately, not much help with putting a dent into this D0 abnormally dry status. So once again, our summary of impacts. Again, very hot today. It's just really bad. Excessive heat warnings are out. Again, heat indices feels like temperatures could be up to 120 in some cases. So keep that in mind if you have to be outdoors. Continued hot on Monday. However, the highest feels like temperatures will be south of I-10. There may be a need for a heat advisory, generally for the city of New Orleans, or any location that is south of the Interstate 10 corridor there. Isolated to scattered thunderstorms today. Some may be strong to severe, especially again that Mississippi Gulf Coast, interior South Mississippi, and the Florida parishes of southeast Louisiana. Again, can't rule out a strong wind gust or two. It's not going to be widespread. It's going to be mostly isolated. But where we do get a storm out there, it could really intensify and become severe. Very slight cool down, and when we say cool down behind a cold front that's coming through, which is responsible for the potential for the isolated scattered thunderstorms today and tomorrow, there will be a slight cool down. The temperatures actually don't really come down that much. We're still going to be in the 90s, unfortunately, but those feels like temperatures with the humidity values being much, much lower will feel a little bit more comfortable And it's still going to be hot, but at least it's not 120 feels like temperature out there. And again, finally, the tropics still look quiet going into the next 7 days. But again, we are approaching peak season here over the next couple of weeks. So if you haven't gotten those supplies yet, again, like I always say, you want to make sure you have your water, your food, your fuel ready to go, because if there is a threat, those lines get long, and people's attitudes, well, they're not the best. So if you go ahead and prepare early, it saves you some time waiting in those lines and having to deal with negative attitudes. All right, that's all I have for you today. As always, like us on Facebook, follow us on X. Reach out to us if you have any comments, questions, concerns. We'll be happy to field those as always. Again, everyone, have a great week out there and try to stay cool.